Hello everybody. Welcome to this third of these talks that I'm doing. I wanted to start off, first of all, today by talking a little bit about the business of online singing and virtual choirs and all that sort of thing. And by the way, I understand that the quality of the sound is not very good at the moment. I hope you can hear what I'm saying, and I hope you can hear what I'm doing for the rest of this session, but we are looking into the possibility of improving the quality of the sound. So hopefully in future talks, it'll be a bit better and a bit easier to hear. But in particular, I wanted to talk a little bit, as I said, about the whole business of working online with choirs. A couple of weeks ago, I attended a mass online symposium with a very nice guy called Russell Scott. And we were all choir directors, musical directors of choirs all over the country. And we were discussing what we're doing, what sort of things worked, and what sort of things didn't work. And the basic arrangement that we all came to, and the agreement that we came to, was that unfortunately trying to work online as a choir is very, very difficult to do. Simply, the amount of delay on all the systems means that you can never really have the same experience of singing with other people like you normally do. And of course, we're all seduced by all these wonderful montages that people set up, and you see them on YouTube and social media, Facebook and so on. And they're wonderful, and there's some amazing things out there. But when you think how they're all achieved, every single individual is literally recording their own part, either to a backing track or to a click track, sending that video into some very clever person who then puts it all together and creates the overall effect. So it's quite a complicated process, and it just means that every individual is actually singing or playing as an individual, and they're not really playing together at all. So to try and reproduce that for a choir is, as I say, almost impossible until somebody invents some very, very special software which will enable us to do it. It just means that at the moment, because of all the time it takes for the systems to be fed in both directions, there's so much delay that the whole thing becomes impossible to do. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to do these sessions rather than try and do an online choir as such. There are online situations that you can do, and if you want to join other people doing it, that's absolutely fine, of course. But I felt that it wasn't quite the same experience as what we're used to, which is working together, not working as individuals. So talking of singing, I thought today I'll do a little bit about trying to keep the voice in some kind of shape, and to give you a couple of exercises that you could try at home that hopefully won't upset your fellow housemates. The first thing, obviously, is breathing, and you know, and you heard me say hundreds of times about the importance of breathing and practicing your breathing and making sure you're not breathing upside down, so that the muscles of the lower abdomen really do expand when you take the breath in and contract when you blow the air out. And it's just worth doing that several times a day while you're standing at the sink doing washing up or whatever, just practicing doing that breathing. And one of the other things that's quite useful to do to try and encourage a long and progressive breath control is to take, I have a prop here, to take a glass of water and a straw and to literally just practice blowing through the straw. I won't do that for hours, it gets very boring, but to watch, but see how long you can do it for, maintaining a nice steady supply of bubbles, and just helping to create this idea of extending the breath so that you can sing longer phrases and so forth. Another thing which is really useful thing to do when we're not able to sing together and to have warm-up sessions and so on is to practice singing out of a yawn. So if we do a big yawn, whatever, any sort of yawn sensation, but just turning the yawn into a sound, into a vowel, and trying to keep everything as loose as you can, jaw loose, maximize the space at the back, all those things that you've heard me ramble on about many hundreds of times. So yawning is good. Another little exercise which I think is quite good is to do goo, 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 goo. The word goo, literally G-O-O. Goo, 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 goo is a really good way of starting the vowel, the oo vowel, but without creating any kind of tension. It's just a good syllable to use, and one which I think people can make really good use of, just to get the voice going a little bit. And the third and final exercise, which I think might be useful, many of you say to me sometimes, the voice gets very tired towards the end of a rehearsal, or even more so in a performance, and I start to get hoarse, and I get very worried about losing my voice just for that big finale, whatever it is. Now, normally when that happens, there are two reasons for that. One is we're not using enough breath. We're not relying on the breath to support the voice, and instead we're using up the capital, as it were, of the larynx, putting too much stress on the larynx itself and not allowing the breath to do the work. And the other thing is that the larynx itself, where the voice box is, can tend to rise up, get too high. And one way to practice trying to keep it down, I have another prop here, is to take a pencil, and hopefully a nice clean pencil. This is a rather strange pencil, but it is clean. And try and hold it under your tongue and then sing at the same time. Ah. It's really hard to do, and you'll probably find, like me, that you drop the pencil a lot. But the principle is, and this is something that Voces 8 use a lot on their training videos, the principle is that if you're holding the pencil, holding something with your tongue, by placing the pencil underneath the tongue and looping the tongue over the top, the idea is that it forces you to keep the tongue forward. That keeps the larynx down and stops the larynx from rising up. And if you can sing like that, and sing high, particularly, which is the normal time when the larynx tends to rise too high, if you can practice doing that, it's a really, really good technique to try and make singing, particularly high notes, easier and less tiring. I know that the last couple of weeks I've been talking about 20th century pieces, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to those, the Vaughan Williams and the Lambert. Today, I thought we would change tack completely and go to the opposite end almost of the repertoire. And this is an amazing piece, again, which is one I absolutely love. It's a piece called Ne Iuriscaris Domine, and it's by William Byrd, written in 1589 to a text by Isaiah from the book of Isaiah. And the other thing about this is a 5-part motet in Latin, obviously. But what's interesting is the text, which is so apt for how we are and how we're living at the moment. The words basically say, "Be not angry, O Lord, and neither remember our wickedness forever." In other words, please don't remember all the terrible things that we've done. Behold, we beseech thee, we are all people, we are all your people. Be not angry with us, in other words. And that's the first half of the piece. And then the second half, Civitas Sanctis, begins, "Your holy cities have become deserted." How apt is that? Zion has become a wilderness. Jerusalem, even Jerusalem, that wonderful promised land of Jerusalem, has been made desolate. And when you think about the lockdown and everything that we're going through, this whole piece and this whole text just seems to reflect exactly what we're feeling and what we're living through at the moment. If you've got time, and if you've got the will, this is the text of this, and the music is very easily gettable online. And if you want to download it, or at least have a look at it on the screen now, it might be useful. Ne Irascaris Domine by William Byrd. And there's also a wonderful recording on YouTube of Voces 8 singing it quite beautifully. And I will share some of it with you now, if this works. So remember, this is it's a 5-part piece being sung by just 5 voices. So it's 2 to a part, except for the bottom 2 lines, which are a single voice each. Being very respectful, behold, O Lord, be not angry with us. Beautifully sung, it has to be said. Remember, we are all your people. As you can hear, it is just the most exquisite music, beautifully performed by Voces 8. And what I would really encourage you to do is to get hold of the score offline, get hold of that YouTube recording and sing along whichever part you like. It's a really good exercise to do. If you listen to it on headphones, and then you can sing and you can hear yourself a little bit, but you can also hear that whichever members of Voces 8 are singing your part. and you'll find it's a really good exercise. It's good for your sight reading, and it's just a fun thing to do. It's such beautiful music. It really is. It's one of the most exquisite pieces I can think of that period. So William Byrd, Ne Irascaris Domine, from 1589. Now, final thing today. This is where it gets a little bit sillier. I make no apologies for this, and it's not actually my idea. This is an idea that comes from Murray Hipkin, who is a member of the English National Opera music staff, and he uses this very silly idea to help train singers and to get them to use their voices and indeed their brains as well. And I understand that we are being asked to be alert at the moment. I'm not quite sure what that means, but if it's alert in terms of our brain and our putting our voice and our brain together, then maybe this is something which can help us do that. This is a very simple idea. It's based on the Rossini William Tell Overture, and the words are, Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Now, Murray Hipkin, bless him, his nickname is Muzza, so that's what M-U-Z-Z-A, that's why the piece starts with the word Muzza. And he is, I should say, follically challenged a little bit. So Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. And it sounds like this. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball, like a ping, like a ping ping ball, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball, like a ping pong ball. I hope you got that. And one thing I'd like you to do is to maybe sing along for the moment, and then I'll tell you what I'd like you to do with it after that. So let's have another go. Remember, Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Ready, breathe. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping ping ball, like a ping ping ball, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball. Muzza's got a head like a ping pong ball, like a ping pong ball. Good. Hope you're getting well with that. Now, the next thing to do with it is to take some of the words out. Now, normally you would put a gesture in, so it might be muzza or pointing, and then head and ball, things like that. So using gestures in place of the words. I can't really do that and play the piano at the same time, although I have been trying and failing. So we have to imagine the symbols and instead just leave the words out. So like a ping pong ball, like a ping pong ball, like a ping, like a ping pong ball, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, like a ping, like a ping, like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong ball, like a 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 ping, like a ping pong ball. So that was missing out muzza and missing out about head. Now, of course, you can then take out ball. So, you got the idea. Like a ping pong. Like a ping pong. Like a ping pong. Like a ping. Like a ping pong. Like a ping. Like a ping. Like a ping pong. Ping pong. Ping pong. Ping pong. Like a ping. Like a ping. Like a ping pong. Ping pong. Ping pong. Ping pong. Like a ping pong ball. Like a ping pong. Got the idea. Silly thing to try to do on a live performance, but never mind. Most of it was right. And if you want to be really tricky, then try leaving out the pings, which I won't do now live, I have to say, because that's quite hard. So you get to do all the pongs and no pings. And that's quite tricky, but maybe we can have a go at that next week. So if you feel like it and want a bit of fun with something, then try singing it, try practicing it over the week, and we'll have another go next week. I'm just going to have a little look at the comments. People saying, get off, probably. Talk about multitasking, says Sarah. I'm hopeless at this. Well, I'm pretty bad as well, so I think you're probably doing, I'm sure you're doing fine. Well done, all of you, for giving it a go anyway. The most important thing, and much more, seriously more important than all of that messing around, is to just keep the voice going. Even if it's only a little bit of humming here and there, doing the breathing exercises, doing some ideas with just singing some gentle vowels. The important thing is just to keep the voice going and at the same time not upsetting your housemates. And if that means singing along to Voces 8 with the headphones, then I can't think of a better way to spend 10 minutes. And Neus Scaris Domine certainly does it for me, but as you often hear me say, I don't get out much. And I certainly don't at the moment. It's been great to talk to you, and I hope you've had a good week. I hope you have another good week, and I look forward to talking to you with probably yet more nonsense next week. So bye for now.